Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about the UGC NET Electronic Science Paper 2 December 2012 question number 16 to 30. So before that, one positive note, that is, never stop doing your best just because someone doesn't give you credit. So with this positive note we will start our discussion. So UGC NET Electronic Science December 2012 paper 2 question number 16 to 30. So the first question, that is the question number 16. So here the question is, ASCII code has 128 characters which are binary coded. If a computer generates 10 to the power of 6 characters per second, the minimum bandwidth required to transmit the signal will be. So here they are asked to find out the bandwidth of the signal. So in order to find out the bandwidth, we need how many characters per second, and here they are clearly mentioned that the ASCII code has 128 characters and the computer generates 10 to the power of 6 characters per second. So here 128 characters, in the sense 2 power 7 becomes the 128. So 2 power 7 becomes the 128. So 128 equal to 2 power 7. So in order to calculate the bandwidth of the transmitted signal, we need to know the n value. So here the bandwidth formula becomes n into characters per second. So here we need to find out the n value. N value is nothing but the ASCII code has that 128 characters. So the 128 characters is equal to the 2 power n. So here the 128 equal to 2 power 7. So n equal to 7. The bandwidth formula is n into characters per second, and here the ASCII code is having the 128 characters. That's why n value is 7, and in question they are clearly mentioned that 10 power 6 characters per second. So here the bandwidth formula is n into 10 characters per second. Here the n value is 7 and the characters per second is 10 power 6. So substitute the value n equal to 7 and the characters per second is 10 to the power of 6. So 10 to the power of 6 indicates the megabits. So here the bandwidth is measured in bits per second. So the bandwidth is 7 into 10 to the power of 6, that is equal to the 7 megabits per second. Next question, when the current through the SCR is greater than holding current, then the voltage across the SCR is. So here already you know that the SCR is nothing but the silicon control rectifier. It has 4 junctions. It has 4 layers and 3 junctions. So this is the standard value. So whenever the current through the SCR is greater than holding current, the voltage across the SCR is 1.4 volts. So this is the standard value. So whenever the current through the SCR is greater than holding current, then the voltage across the SCR is 1.4 volts. So next question, dispersion shifted wavelength is. So this question is from the communications, mainly from the optical fiber communication. So here we need to find out the dispersion shifted wavelength. So mainly the optical fiber is having the 2 wavelengths. The one is 1300 nanometers and the second one is 1550 nanometers. So here the optical fiber is having the 2 wavelengths. One is 1300 nanometer and one more is 1550 nanometers. So here the dispersion shifted wavelength is nothing but the which is having the higher value. So in these two we are having the 1550 nanometers is the highest value. So this value is said to be the dispersion shifted wavelength of the optical fiber. The next question is the most suitable instrument. The most suitable instrument for the measurement of voltage. So the first one is digital voltmeter, and the second one is analog voltmeter, and the third one is CRO, and the fourth one is digital multimeter. So digital voltmeter is used to measure the voltage. Analog voltmeter is also used to measure the voltage. By CRO we can measure the voltage, and DMM is also used to measure the voltage, current and resistance also. So here the most suitable instrument is the CRO, that is cathode ray oscilloscope. So by using CRO we can calculate the voltage accurately. The next question becomes, here the next question is from the control systems. So they are given the characteristic polynomial. And they used to find out the response of the system. So whenever they are giving the characteristic polynomial, here we need to find out the system response, whether the system is stable, marginally stable or unstable, or it is having the oscillatory response. So in order to find out that one, just I am using the RH criteria, that is Routh-Harwich criteria. So here in this characteristic polynomial, the highest power is the s power 5. So in this characteristic polynomial, the highest power is the s power 5. And the next one is s power 4, s power 3, s power 2, s power 1 and s power 0. So first of all, in order to do the Routh-Harwich criteria, you have to construct the Routh-Harwich table. So here, what is the highest power? That is s power 5. So directly I am writing the highest power, that is s power 5. The next one is s power 4, and the next one is s power 3, and the next one is s power 2, and the next one is s power 1 and s power 0. So here the 5 is the odd number. S power 5 is the highest power is s power 5, and this is odd number. So you have to write all the odd number quotients in this row. So here s power 5 quotient is 2, and s power 3 quotient is 4, and s power 1 quotient is 2. So we are having 2s power 5, s power 4 plus 4s cube plus 2s square plus 2s plus 1. So here the highest power is s power 5. So I am writing s power 5, s power 4, s power 3, s power 2, s power 1 and s power 0. And here s power 5. Here 5 is the odd number. So I am writing odd quotients in this row. So s power 5 quotient is 2, s power 3 quotient is 4, s power 1 quotient is 2. Similarly, here we are having the s power 4. So here s power 4 quotient is 1. So here 4 is the even number. So you have to write all the even quotients. So s power 4 quotient is 1, s power 2 quotient is 2, and s power 0 quotient is 1. Now you have to write the values of these s power 3 row. So in order to do that one, first you will do 1 into 4. This is the procedure given by the Routh-Harwich in order to find out the stability of the system. So in order to find out this value, s power 3 value, first you have to do 1 into 4. 1 into 4 is 4 minus 2 into 2. 2 into 2 is also 4. So here 4 minus 4 is 0. 4 minus 4 is 0 by 1. 0 upon 1. So the condition is here, first 1 into 4 minus 2 into 2 by 1. That value becomes 0. Again you have to find out this value also. So in order to find out this one, 1 into 2, that is 2, minus 1 into 2, that is also 2. 2 minus 2 by again the 1. This is the format given by the RH. So in order to find out the first element, the procedure is 1 into 4 minus 2 into 2, that is 4 by 1. So 4 minus 4 is 0 by 1 is 0. Again I need to find out this value, that is 1 into 2 minus 1 into 2, that is 2 minus 2, that is 0. Again 0 by 1 is the 0. So here you are getting the row of zeros. So whenever you are getting the row of zeros, you are not continuing the next step. So in order to continue the next step, just you have to take the auxiliary equation, that is, so whenever you are getting the row of zeros, so here you are getting the row of zeros at the s power 3 row. S power 3 row you are getting the row of zeros, and you need to find out these values in order to continue the row array. So in order to continue the row array, just you have to take the above values whenever you are getting the row of zeros at s power 3. Then you have to take the s power 4 row as the auxiliary equation. For example, if you are getting the row of zeros at s power 1, then you have to get the auxiliary equation at the s power 2. So definitely every time in RH array, you are getting the row of zeros at odd number, and you have to take the auxiliary equation at the even number. So here you are getting the row of zeros at s power 3. So the row which is above the row of zeros is this one. So you have to take this one as the auxiliary equation. So this value is s power 4 plus 2s square plus 1 is your auxiliary equation. S power 4 plus 2s square plus 1 is your auxiliary equation. The row which is above the row of zeros is taken as the auxiliary equation. So s power 4 plus 2s square plus 1 is taken as your auxiliary equation. So here AE is nothing but auxiliary equation. So here I need to find out these values. So in order to find out these values, here you are getting row of zeros. So I need to find out this quotient and this quotient, that is s power 3 quotient and s power 1 quotient. So in order to find out that one, I am differentiating the auxiliary equation. So whenever you are differentiating the auxiliary equation, that is d by ds of s power 4 becomes 4s cube, and d by ds of 2s square becomes 2 into 2 is 4s, and d by ds of some constant 1 becomes 0. So here you are getting the s power 3 quotient as 4 and s power 4 quotient as 1. So you need to write that value. So here s power 3 quotient as 4 and s power 4 quotient as 1. And now you continue the row array. So here also the same thing. First thing is 4 into 2, that is 8 minus 4 into 1, that is 4. 4 into 2 is 8 and 4 into 1 is 4 divided by 4. So that value becomes 4 by 4 is 1. And the next thing is 4 into 1, 4 minus 1 into, here you are not having any value. So whenever you are not having any value, you have to take it as 0. So 1 into 0 is 0. So 4 into 1 is 1, and here 1 into 0 is 0. So 4 into 1 minus 1 into 0 by again 4. So 4 by 4 is 1. So here you are getting 4, 4 and 1, 1. And again you have to do the next row. So here also the same procedure. First 1 into 4 is 4 and minus again 1 into 4. So 4 minus 4 is 0 by 1. 4 minus 4 is 0 by 1 is 0. 0. And again you have to do the same thing. So here you are getting the 0 only. So again you are getting the row of zeros. So you have to consider the same value of the equation, that is s square plus 1. So s square plus 1, because the s square quotient is 1, and here s power 0 quotient is also 1. So s square plus 1 is nothing but auxiliary equation. Again differentiate this auxiliary equation. Again differentiate this auxiliary equation. So d by ds of s square is 2s and d by ds of s square plus 1. Here s square plus 1. So d by ds of constant is 0, that is 2s plus 0. So s power 1 quotient is 2. S power 1 quotient is 2 and again here s power 0 quotient is 1. So here we are getting the row of zeros. So whenever you are getting the row of zeros, then the system response is said to be the oscillatory response. System response is said to be the oscillatory response. Here comes the next questions. Those are assertion and reason questions. Whenever both the assertion and reason are true and R is the correct explanation for assertion, then you have to select the code A. If both A and R are true and reason is not the correct explanation for A, then you have to select the code B. If A is true and R is false, then you have to select the code C. If A is false and R is true, then you have to select the code D. So here comes the first question. The assertion is the tunnel diode provides oscillations in the microwave region. And here the reason becomes the equivalent RC model of tunnel diode gives the frequency in the microwave region. So the first one is the tunnel diode provides oscillations in the microwave region is the correct. Here the tunnel diode is also called as the Esaki diode. It is a negative resistance device. Due to that, it is used as the microwave oscillator. The tunnel diode is used in microwave oscillator. And here comes the symbol of the tunnel diode. So the A is true. The assertion is true. But the equivalent RC model of tunnel diode gives the frequency in the microwave region is not the correct answer. So here the tunnel diode is also called as Esaki diode. It is a negative resistance device and it is also used as the microwave oscillator. So the correct option for this one is the C, that is A is true, assertion is true and R is false. So the next question is the roots of a denominator of a network function decides the stability. And the reason is the poles on the real axis determine the damping factor of the system. So here depending on the poles, if the poles lies on the left hand side, then the system is said to be stable. If the poles lies on the right hand side, then the system is said to be unstable. So the roots of the denominator of any equation indicates the poles of the system. So the assertion is true. If the poles lies on the left hand side of S plane, then the system is stable. If the poles lies on the right hand side of the S plane, then the system is said to be unstable. So in the assertion they are given that the roots of the denominator of a network function decides the stability. So here the roots of the denominator are nothing but the poles of the system. So here the assertion is true. The poles on real axis determine the damping factor of the system. So here the reason is also true, because depending on the damping ratio also we are defining the stability. So the damping ratio value, the damping factor value depends on the poles location. So the poles on the real axis determine the damping factor of the system is also true. So here the option A is correct, that is A and R are true, the assertion and reason are true and R is the correct explanation of the A, because the roots of the denominator are nothing but poles that decides the stability, and the reason also they are mentioning that the poles on the real axis determine the damping factor of the system. So both are talking about the stability, that's why here the option A is correct. So here the damping ratio is the dimensionless measure. How the oscillation in a system decay after a disturbance. It measures how the oscillation in a system decay after disturbance. So the next question, that is 23, is the fast changing in input do not depend on slew rate of property of the op amp, and the reason is the Schmitt trigger does not work on the slew rate property of the op amp. So here A is false and R is true. here the slew rate is nothing but how fast the input of, here the slew rate is nothing but the slew rate of an op amp or any amplifier circuit is the rate of change of output voltage caused by step change in the input. That means how fast the output can respond with respect to input or with respect to time. The slew rate gives how fast the output respond with respect to time. So in the previous question they are given that the fast change in the input do not depend on the slew rate. The fast change in the input depend on the slew rate property of the op amp. That is the correct. Here they are given that do not depend. That's why the assertion is false. Skimmy trigger does not work on the slew rate property. This is true. Skimmy trigger doesn't work on the slew rate of op amp. Skimmy trigger is the square wave generator which uses the positive feedback. So in the previous question the assertion is false and the reason is true. So option D is the correct answer. The next question is a parallel comparator ADC requires inbuilt number of comparators 2 power n minus 1. The speed of the parallel comparator is limited by the speed of the comparator. So here the parallel comparator is also called as the flash converter. So for the flash converter we require 2 power n minus 1 comparators. This is correct. So the flash converter ADC is the most fastest type ADC, and it is the disadvantage of the flash converter is that it is expensive. So here the assertion is correct. The parallel comparator or the flash type converter requires 2 power n minus 1 comparators. So here the reason is correct. It requires 2 power n minus 1 comparators, and it requires 2 power n resistors. It requires 2 power n resistors, and it requires 2 power n cross, it requires 2 power n cross n priority encoder. So the parallel converter or flash type converter requires 2 power n minus 1 comparators, 2 power n resistors, and 2 power n cross n priority encoder. So the assertion is correct. And here the reason they are given that the speed of the parallel comparator is limited by the speed of the comparator. So this is also correct only. So here the assertion and reason are true, and R is the correct explanation for the A. So parallel comparator or flash type ADC, the comparators required are 2 power n minus 1 and the resistors required are 2 power n, and the priority encoders required is 2 power n into n. So for example 3-bit parallel converter, it requires 2 power 3 minus 1 comparators. 2 power 3 is nothing but 8 minus 1 is 7, and the resistors are 2 power 3, that is 8, and the priority encoder is 2 power 3, that is 8 into 3 priority encoder. The next question is microcontrollers. That is, assertion is given by microcontrollers are preferred in real-time applications. The on-chip I/O integration has no bearing on the speed of microcontroller. So the first one is correct. Microcontrollers are preferred in real-time applications, and here the on-chip of I/O integration has no bearing on the speed of microcontroller. This reason is the false, and assertion is true. So option C is correct. So the next question is in photon pointers are provided. And pointers help. The assertion is in photon is one type of language. The pointers are provided, and the reason is given by pointers help to work with the actual physical address. So here the A is false and the reason is true. So the photon we are not in Fortran language the pointers are not provided, but the pointers are helped to work with the actual physical address. So here the reason is true, and the assertion is false. So the Fortran is derived from the formula translation. It is especially suited to numeric computation and scientific computing. So the Fortran is used for numeric computation and scientific computing. So for the above question, the A is false, because in Fortran we are not using any pointers, and the reason is the pointers are used for physical address. That is correct only. So the next question is 27. Here the given assertion is divergence theorem is applicable for both static and time varying fields, and the reason they are given that it is used to find the enclosed charge. It is used to find the enclosed charge from the knowledge either d bar or e bar. So here in this case the A is true. The divergence theorem is applicable for both static and time varying fields, and the reason is also true. It is used for finding the enclosed charge from the knowledge either d bar or e bar. So here the formula is given by integral of a ds equal to the integral of, this indicates the closed surface, equal to integral of del of a into dv. So here next comes the 28th question. The back EMF of a DC motor depends on the series winding and armature resistance. The reason is given by the when there is no load, the back EMF is minimum. So the back EMF of a DC motor depends on the series winding and armature resistance. This is the correct one. That is, the back EMF definitely depends on the series winding and armature resistance. And here the reason given is when there is no load, the back EMF is minimum. So the reason is not correct. So here the A is true and R is wrong. And the 29th question, by using wavelength division multiplexing, the capacity of an optical fiber can be enhanced, and the reason is given by the separation between two adjacent channels in wavelength division multiplexing is of the order of 50 nanometers. So here the wavelength division multiplexing is the capacity of an optical fiber can be enhanced. By using wavelength division multiplexing, the capacity of an optical fiber can be enhanced. This is correct, but the separation between the adjacent channels is not be the 50 nanometers, it will be the 20 nanometers only. So the reason is false and assertion is correct. So here A is true and R is false. Next, the 30th question. The sign of all terms in the first row of row array are checked for the stability considerations. The number of sign changes equal to the number of roots on the right half of S-plane. So the reason is correct. The number of sign changes in the first row of row array indicates the number of right hand side poles on the S-plane. So the reason is correct, but it is the first column. The sign of all terms in the first column of row array are checked for stability consideration. For example, this is the row array. Here we are drawing some row array. This is the RH table. For example, they are checking the number of sign changes in the first column of row array. For example, if all the elements in the first column of the row array are having the same signs, then the system is said to be stable. For example, if you consider this is row array, you are having here some 2 and 3. Let us say here you are having some -1 and here you are having the +2. So here in the first column we are having the +2, and the second column here I am having the -1, and the third column I am having the +2. So if you want to check the number of sign changes in the first column, so here I am having the plus 2 minus 1 sign change, and here I am having the minus 2 plus one more sign change. So the number of sign changes in the first column of route array indicates the number of poles on the right hand side of S-plane. So here we are having this 2 sign changes and the system is said to be unstable. For example, in the route array, next condition, you are getting one row of zeros. So if you are getting only one row of zeros, then the system is said to be the marginally stable. If you are getting the more than one number of row of zeros, that is one row of zeros here and one time row of zeros here and one time row of zeros here. So like this if you are getting, then the system is said to be unstable. So here the sign of all terms in the first column, not the first row. That's why the assertion is false and the reason is true. So thank you all. Hope you get to know the something.